Hi, guys. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Design Exchange. I'm here with my co host, Melinda Peters Elliott, and we are launching season 5. And I wanted to make an introduction video because we have been all over with these podcasts and we just started getting organized. And the podcast was a brainchild of myself. And I set a goal that I wanted to do a podcast, and I really didn't know anything about how to do it. And then I realized I didn't want to talk to just an open audience for 30 minutes to an hour. So I went in search of a co host and I met Melinda at an American Society of Interior Design Christmas party. And we sat together and we just really connected and became best friends ever since then. And when I was starting the podcast, I was looking for a co host and I was talking to different people. And Melinda just happened to work out perfectly for me. And we have completely different aesthetics, and that's what makes this podcast so unique. And we will talk to you about different topics that are happening in our industry. Um, Different aesthetics, different styles, different trends, everything that we experience in our day to day design lives. I never expected to be a podcast video producer, an audio engineer, a lighting specialist, but as being a designer, in 2024, you have to have a podcast, you have to have a blog, a website, a book, a blah, blah, blah. So, Melinda, tell people your background because we come from completely opposite sides of the design spectrum.
Yeah, that's right. So, it's kind of interesting. And, I was very grateful that you asked me to be on the podcast, Danny, because it's always been something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy teaching. I enjoy, helping people. And this outreach to my clients and your clients and the world to teach them about our industry is really, really key because there's so much misinformation out there. And I think it's good for us to be able to explain that to people. So my background is that I've been in business 32 years. And I have over that time become I was a custom window treatment person. I graduated from college with a degree in interior design, but being so young, I had to do things to help build my business very slowly, but people would need to trust me. How do I build trust? How do I do that? So I entered a lot of design competitions. I've won 7 international design competitions with my work, with my custom window treatments. And I was Kirsch Designer of the Year in 2004. I have been in multiple homes around Central Ohio and also, Northern Ohio and Kentucky and all over.
Mhm.
It's just a labor of love. I've always loved interior design. I love talking, and I love my Danny. So,
Yes. And you went to, didn't you go to school in Georgia?
yep,
Am I
I
making
went
this
to
up?
school. I went to
For
Barry College. Well, I started at Otterbein
Okay.
University here in Columbus. Went there 2 years, and then I transferred to a school called Barry College in Rome, Georgia, and that is where I finished my degree. And then I came back to London, Ohio, which is a small rural town in outside of Ohio, outside of Columbus, and I
It's
started my business here, and I've been going ever since.
it's kind of funny because when we tell people when we're at trade shows that we're from Ohio, they look at us like we're from Mars because for
Yeah.
some reason, I don't know if it's just the way I dress or the way I look, people automatically assume that I'm from LA or New York. And then when I say I work with Melinda in London, they think it's London, London
Yep.
in Britain. So it's quite funny, but people don't realize where we're at. And we are both based in Central Ohio,
Yep.
and we have projects. I have done projects all over the world. I mean, we're all over the country. We go everywhere and anywhere.
Mhm.
My background, I took mechanical drafting in 7th grade and learned how to sew in 7th grade. Now, I learned how to sew. That doesn't mean that I should be sewing, but
Exactly.
Uh,
because he stretches things quite a bit.
we have been through so much together. When we launched this podcast, we were recording in my warehouse garage, and we didn't know what equipment we needed. We
It was
didn't know
burning
about
up.
copyrights, and we've actually moved to where we do this as a vlog now, so that people can have the option of listening to it as a podcast or watching it on YouTube. But
Yep.
I had wanted to start this for so long, and we're we're way in deep now,
Yep.
but we've gone through so much equipment. We finally know what we're doing. We finally have a plan. We were doing it in person, which is really hard to do. And one good thing that came out of the pandemic is we learned how to do Zoom,
That's
and we
right.
can do these podcasts more efficient. But we do bring on special guests from time to time, and
Mhm.
we're both not always available to be on the show. So we've now formatted the show to come out in seasons. We're actually part of the SAG AFTRA Guild under the podcast section. And we really have gotten this down to where we want to talk to other designers, younger designers that are coming into the industry. And we specifically want to talk to our clients and even our vendors, because a lot of our vendors aren't in the field. They don't know what we go through day to day and the
Right.
questions that we get asked. And me and Melinda both follow all of the happenings in interior design, whether it's logistics, architecture, engineering, new products. I'm the one that gets sent out to be on the road, and then I have to download to Melinda everything that I've learned, and then she just follows it on Facebook and gives gets the highlights, and I'll
Instagram.
send her the pictures. But we make we make a great team,
Yeah.
and design, it used to be a competition, and I've always said, and I don't know if I've said this to you, me and Melinda, we don't compete for jobs. I
Nope.
don't feel like I compete with anyone for jobs, because every designer is unique, and designers
Absolutely.
didn't used to talk to each other in the past. They were always
No.
closed off. They were not really nice. Even when
Nope.
I got into this industry, I've been in this industry for 20 years now. When I got into this industry, people weren't willing to help or
No.
guide or talk. And that's what made
Yeah.
me start this podcast, The Design Exchange. And then when Facebook grew, we became very involved with a bunch of different groups.
Mhm.
And design is now about community rather than competition. And
Absolutely.
there still are designers that are out there that consider it a competition, and
Mhm.
I don't exactly know what they think that they're competing for, but they're doing themselves a disservice by not communicating with other designers. And we really wanted to have a conversation. Our
Yeah.
design aesthetics are completely different. While
Yep.
either of us could design um, in any style that is presented before us, we
Mhm.
both have signature looks.
Yep.
And
And, you get a different type of clientele than I do too.
Mhm.
So, and, I think that's just based on, who we are as people. You attract, basically what kind of people you need to attract. So, and I
Yeah.
feel like that with the industry, with the interior design industry in general, you're going to attract what you want to attract. So if you're attracting, for some reason I keep attracting farmhouse people out in the middle of rural Ohio, which
Well,
I
you are in rural Ohio. You
I
are
am. And these
on the
people are
farm.
on literal farms.
But
Farms.
some of the farmhouse work that I've seen you do farmhouse with a push. And you do make it, I wouldn't say you make it trendy, you do tend to make it timeless,
Yep.
from some of the bathrooms and kitchens that I've seen you do.
Yep.
And
That's
that's something that we're focusing on more now. Me and
yes.
Melinda are both focusing more on the construction side of things, and
Yep.
being a full service design build firm where
Correct.
we're we're involved. And because of our educations, because of our knowledge of the industry, we do
Mhm.
know a little bit about everything. We
You
don't
do
know everything about everything, but we
everything.
know
No.
we know engineering, we know
Mhm.
code, we know building code.
And
Um,
because we have the podcast, we are always inquisitive about the new things coming in the market, because we feel like it's kind of our job to help educate, the world, whether it's a new designer, whether it's a kid in school, or if it's just our clients, just to educate, because there's so much about this industry that is hard to keep up with. So, and for us, I love us. I love how we bring that to, and we weave in some fun times, and like, we're hilarious. Let's
Yes.
just face it.
We know
we
that.
we're a good match. We love to talk about stuff and have fun
We
and
try
keep
not
it
to take
light
this,
and not
yeah,
serious.
we try
You know,
not to be too serious, and
yeah,
we do make jokes, and I want people to know that not to take us too seriously, because
that's
if you
right.
start taking people too seriously or too serious, it's just not a good thing.
And a
Um,
lot of people think that we're actually talking directly to them, but it's like I've had like five different
we're
clients do the
talking to a
same
lot of
thing.
people. We're talking to a lot of people, but we tend to not talk about any we don't direct our conversations at anyone.
No,
And
no,
that's a misconception with social media right now. For some reason,
it is.
I remember um, I want to say, what's it called? One of the people that talks on the TV, a pundit. I remember seeing a pundit talking about Facebook when it came out, and he said for someone to be on Facebook, you have to have a lot of chutzpah about you. And this was before Facebook exploded because it
Ooh,
involves a lot of narcissism. And you're basically
yes.
talking about you. So um if you're if you're putting yourself out there, it's a very good thing, but we're not talking about you, and you should not take anything on the internet personally. And
No,
we've when we talk about situations that we are dealing with, it's not like a one certain situation. We've been in the situation that we're talking about multiple times.
yes,
And this podcast is geared to being a open, free space for us to
yeah,
discuss with the client the trials and tribulations that we go through as designers, and let
yes,
peel back the curtain to give them a little bit more knowledge of what we do in the background, because
exactly.
people think
Nobody realizes
no,
what we go through.
and we have so much, like, you can say order a sofa or order a bathtub, and I'm going to use a client experience because this client is amazing and I love her to death, and we're building a cabin for her. And she messaged me a couple weeks ago and she goes, we need the bathtubs on the job site right now. They're going to put the bathtubs in. And I go, well, I could just say it's Renee. I said, well,
Yeah,
Renee, I don't understand. How are they going to put the bathtubs in? We need the drains first. So she didn't understand that it's not just a bathtub. A bathtub has many components to it.
yeah,
You have your drain, you have your overfill, you have your tub filler, you have your thermostatic controller, you probably have a shower head. Then you have to have the exact cartridges to go with those things behind the wall. So
mhm,
saying like there's so many different components that people don't realize, and we have to source each one of those things differently. And you
yeah.
might just see one thing on an invoice, but there's so much time that goes into the back end of that.
It is.
And
And I feel like we're letting the world know in general what we do is not all like the fun and games and picking fabrics all day long and picking colors, and that is not what all we do. That's probably 20% of what we do. Wouldn't you agree? The
I'd
rest
say
of it is
I had a
marketing and
oh yeah,
bookkeeping and
gosh. I
keeping
told
people happy, psychological
yeah.
evaluations, and
I spoke to a bunch of students the other day, and I'm going to post that on our channel. But I told them that I spend 95% of my time explaining the 5% that I actually get to do. And
yeah,
I would love to just go pick out sofas and pick out paint colors and just do renderings all day long. But
yep,
I probably would be bankrupt and
yep,
not making any money because we
right.
have so much. that we have to do. And
Yeah.
the amount of vendors we have, people don't understand. We have to maintain relationships with hundreds, if
Hundreds,
not thousands of
thousands of
vendors.
vendors. Yeah.
Yes, and we have to communicate with them to see like where we're buying things, how we're positioning our businesses for the future, what's coming out, what's available in stock, and it is not easy. It's
Mm,
exhausting.
it is.
So
It is. But it
the
is, it keeps us fresh. Like I never have the same day twice in
no,
my, and it's one of those things that there's not all people in the world can do what we're doing. So to explain that through the podcast and use the podcast as a tool to explain our world and our lives and what
mhm,
how we think and how we do what we do, I think it's key, and it's good for all designers to be able to, even if you're a designer listening to our podcast,
mhm.
that you can gain insight.
And
Vendors, like you said, can gain
it's
insight.
it's very rare that you're going to have two designers like me and Melinda who are both award winning and
Mhm.
have been in this industry for so long, knowing the ins and outs. And we bounce ideas off each other all the time. Like if she can't find something that she needs, I might have it. She might have something that I need, and I call her. And it's just
Yeah,
we work synergistically. And we
yeah,
also are connected to our other design friends, Megan, Elisa, Trish. They've been on the podcast. If we need cabinet
Debbie.
help,
Yeah.
um, we call um, we call Megan because Megan specializes in cabinets. If we
Mhm.
need something that's like sun resistant or fade resistant, we have Trish in Miami. We call her. If we need some, I don't even know what to say. Elisa does. Elisa's one of my best friends, but um,
Drawing advice,
she's a little.
because
She's
she's
like
on
me.
cheap.
She's
She
like
does a
me. So
lot of cheap
she,
architects,
yes,
so
she helps us with
she can definitely.
renderings. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
So
yeah.
we're
She's
really
got.
we're really connected, and I love being able to share what we do through this medium. And I do not know of two personalities out there that can replicate your hosts of the Design Exchange that
Exactly.
have as much fun. Um, it's typically your other designers, nothing bad about them, but I think they're a little bit more formal and not as fun. Uh, but we try to make it fun to listen
Yeah.
to, and I know that we're more entertaining than HGTV.
Yep.
I know we're
We're like
more
the Kelly and
entertaining.
Mark. We're like the Kelly and Mark show for the interior
Yeah,
design industry.
yeah. We should have a design talk show. I know they've
We should.
attempted it. They've attempted it a couple times, but I just don't know that they've had the right personalities on it. But yeah, but that's in the works. So I just wanted to, we're launching season 5, and I'm really excited that we're going to have a plan now. Like I said, I've joined the SAG After Guild under the podcast section, and a good friend of ours, Camille Cower, introduced me to that. And we're going to be bringing on guest designers talking about their products this season, their all their new
Well, Danny,
launches.
we had a little bit of a lull last year with season 4 because we were on strike, right?
We were, yes. Well, we weren't we technically weren't, but we weren't allowed to talk about, let's say, the Barbie movie. We weren't
That's right.
allowed to talk about that. But I mean, we stood in solidarity with the writers and the actors. So were the actors on strike or was it just the writers? I can't even remember at this point.
They were all on strike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we're still feeling that stuff, but we weren't allowed to talk about major movies coming out, and we're now allowed to do that. So we are part, I think we're I hope we're a part of. You can find our podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and I, I
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud.
Mhm.
And Melinda's going to make sure that we're on there because we haven't updated lately. But this season, we are going to rebrand. We are going to have some much better graphics. We're going to have some much better sound. I've learned so much over the
You're the
break.
sound guy. Like
Yeah.
You can
Um,
tell I forgot my AirPods today, so I apologize for my voice and
on
everything.
Saturday, I processed and edited our first 3 episodes of season 5, and I had to call Melinda after that, and I was like, I am so sick of hearing us. And I go, but we're actually funny, because I was trying to listen to make sure that these we weren't saying anything bad. And we did have a little. I try to not edit these at all because I want them to be a natural, organic conversation with you guys. And we we had to make some edits, um, just because of a few different things. But we are trying really hard this season, and we're going to get these episodes out to you on time. We're working on consistency. We're working on our guest lists. We are, what else are we doing? We're going to take you on some
Hot
projects.
topics. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to have some hot topics, but we're going to try to keep these to 10 to 15 episode seasons. And we do have a website called tdxpodcast.com, I believe. You
We're
can
on
email
Instagram.
us. Yeah, I think we're on Instagram. That's your department.
I love
Um,
it.
yeah. But if you have any questions for us, we have a Facebook group called the Design Exchange, and feel free to join it. Feel free to message us on one of our platforms. But
Yep, it's TDX podcast. It's there.
TDX Podcast, I don't know,
Yep.
did I make that or did you make it? We should
Yeah,
start
you
posting
did.
on there.
We have 3 posts
Oh, let's get
currently.
going on that.
Yeah, but we have 70 followers.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
We're
So
probably 2 of them. Um, but yeah, this is going to be an interesting season, and I'm really excited. Our first few episodes, it's going to be interesting because we're introducing a lot of new technology that I've been learning about. And our first 3 episodes on the video side of things were a little bit glowing because our green screen wasn't exactly how it needed to be. And like I said, we're always learning. Right now, you're seeing the background of our offices, but we have been working with green screens, and I've got this down to being able to travel to trade shows with one backpack that includes our lighting, our tripod, our microphones, and we're just going to keep moving. And we hope you guys really enjoy this. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think it's
yep,
under my name. We're trying to figure out how to make a separate one. When we get there, we'll let you know. But please make sure you're sharing this with our friends and following and downloading, because that helps us out a lot. We do not make any money from doing this at the moment. We are in the future, we do have plans to take on sponsors. And when we do talk about a product, if you've listened to us in the past, we've not been reimbursed. We have not gotten anything out of it. We just talk about products that we love. But in the future, if we do have a sponsor, we will make it very clear that they are in some way sponsoring the podcast. But with our goal, it's very hard to find time to record these for you guys. And we take a few hours out of our day. Sometimes I'm editing for 6 to 8 hours a week, if we're doing multiple episodes. So we do this because we have a passion, and it's almost as like therapy for us. And our backgrounds, like I said, we just mesh well. We have over 50 years of experience between the two of us. We've been in nearly every single situation that you can possibly think of, whether it's a construction mishap. We've both
yep.
done commercial projects. We've done restaurants, bars, hospitals, dental offices, psychiatric offices.
Photography
Uh,
studios. Yep.
what'd you say?
Photography
Gyms,
studios,
photography
gyms.
studios,
Yep. Yep.
all of them.
It is. You name it. Yep. We've
We've
done
done
it.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Paper manufacturers.
what'd you say? Oh yeah, your
Paper.
commercial project.
Paper manufacturers. Oh no. Oh
So
wow.
with no further ado, I am going to go ahead and put out our first 3 episodes this today, because
Because it's
I want
Happy
you
Friday.
Yeah, it's Happy Friday, and I just wanted to give you an introduction. Like I said, this is the season 5 launch. We're very excited. We have some special guests lined up, and if you have any ideas, feel free to email or reach out to us. If you're listening to this, you know how to find us. I'm Danny Russo on Instagram and Facebook. Melinda's Fine Designs INT on Instagram. Fine Designs and Interiors on Facebook. Melinda Peters Elliott on Facebook. Anything else I'm missing? Your website's
E-bag.
www.finedesignsinteriors.com. Mine's www.dannyrusso.com. Melinda has a product out that she invented called the Me Bag, and it doesn't stand for me as in me. It stands for me as in Melinda Elliott, and she went through about 3 to 4 prototypes of it, and it is
10
a
years.
go-to bag where you can have all of your fabric samples with you, paint swatches, paint decks, everything you need for a new client installation or meeting. So we'll do an episode about that in the future as well. But with no further ado, welcome to season 5 of the
E-bag.
Design Exchange. We should shoot
Yay!
fireworks off or something.
Give me a high five, Danny.
Yeah, high five. And we can't wait and hope you guys learned something or um, gain something from our ramblings about such and such and so and so. Happy Friday, guys. We hope you enjoy this season.